So this $500 million we're asking for is actually to improve our creative industry.
Will you be able to achieve CNN model?
Absolutely, sir. I can assure you, sir. I mean, it's about technology.
They can see it all over the world.
Yes, it's about technology, sir. If the entire world migrates from analog to digital, and we remain analog, it means then that we're going to be unable to perform the function of enlightening, entertaining Nigerians. I want to preface my presentation with an introduction of the creative industry. Gentlemen, the creative industry today, which comprises of television, music, films, fashion, photography, and the like, actually contributes about 1.492.
Sorry, Honorable Minister, you need to be brief.
I'll be very brief, I promise you, sir. Actually contributes about 1.492 to our GDP. But apart from agriculture, it is the largest employer of labor in Nigeria, especially the youth. So this $500 million we're asking for is actually to improve our creative industry. The ITU in 2006 gave a deadline of June 17, 2015 for all members of the organization to migrate from analog to digital. Regrettably, we were unable to meet this deadline alongside most countries in Sub-Saharan. It was then moved to 2017, which became failed, and today the target is 2020, June 17. It's important for us to meet this deadline because if the entire world migrates from analog to digital and we remain analog, it means then that we're going to be unable to perform the function of enlightening, entertaining Nigerians. It is to this effect that we applied for this loan, and it's going to do three things. The first is to establish a media and cultural industry center, and the cost of that is put at $245 million. The second is to digitize all the NTA stations in Nigeria. That is put at $111 US. And finally, the construction of our integrated television services transmission network, which is the government-owned signal distributor, which is a very essential component of our digitization project. The key objectives of the project are as follows. One, to ensure that the NTA can fulfill its role as Nigeria's national TV broadcasting network post-ITU deadline. To ensure widespread coverage of digital TV service and signals across states, communities, and households. The provision of digital TV services in poor communities will create jobs for community members who will be involved in the maintenance of digital TV platforms. The Media and Cultural Industry Center Training Academy will train Nigerian broadcasters and filmmakers on how to produce high-quality media content. The Media and Culture Industry Center will also provide direct employment for at least 2,000 skilled and unskilled workers and indeed employment for approximately 10,000 workers, while generating average revenues of $30 million per annum. The Integrated Television Service Initiative is expected also to create 504 direct job opportunities for Nigeria and 2,500 indirect job opportunities, to also generate an average revenue of about $160 million per annum. The benefits of this loan are as follows. These three initiatives, conceptualized for the Nigeria digitization project, will require significant capital outlay, which federal government of Nigeria may not be able to finance currently. Hence, a loan is required to fund the project. However, the business model proposed for these initiatives will only succeed with a concessional loan and not commercial one, due to the low interest rates and long repayment period. The choice of a concessional loan is also due to the fact that its terms are much more favorable to the project at hand than that of a commercial loan. A commercial loan, as you know, gentlemen, will attract an interest rate of between 16 and 26%, and the maximum probably is about 5-year tenure, while we have a 2.5 concession interest rate and a repayment period of over 20 years. The next issue is how profitable. I will actually talk to the profitability and loan repayment of this loan. The Nigerian digitization project is expected to be very profitable over the 20-year duration of the loan and beyond. Under the project's base case financial model, which assumes that the project operates at 70% capacity, it is expected that revenue of at least $3.99 billion will be generated over this period, which is approximately 579% more than the project's startup cost of $588 million. The total loan repayment due to the Chinese government will be $659 million, which shall be paid in installments according to the loan terms. This amount includes principal and interest repayments, as well as the management and commitment fees, which are deducted at source. The profitability of each initiative is detailed below. For the Media and Culture Center, the project cost is $245 million. Annual revenue is projected at $603 million. Operating costs as $23 million, leaving us a surplus of $320 million. For the NTA stations, the project cost is $111 million. Annual revenue is projected at $186 million, while operating cost is about $177 million, leaving a profit of $9 million. The ITS network is expected to go up to $32 million, but the revenue expected is $3.21 billion over the period, and operating surplus of $712 million. So we're looking at a total outlay of $588 million, a revenue of $3.99 billion, and a surplus of an operating cost of $1.172 billion, and a surplus of $2.818 billion. The project initiative would also yield positive cash balance throughout the duration of the project. The key highlights are that, one, Nigeria will need to leverage upon the digitization project in order to reap the expected digital dividends. Nigeria has missed yet another digital migration deadline, having failed to fully digitalize its broadcasting ecosystem by June 17, 2017. Any further delay will translate into negative effects on the broadcast industry. Nigeria, along with other sub-Saharan states that failed to meet the digitalization deadline set by the ITU, may miss their share of the $82 billion digital dividend by 2025, as forecast by the Global System for Mobile Telecommunication Association. According to the GSMA, if the transition is properly and timely executed, it anticipates that the sale of analog frequencies no longer used by broadcasters could bring the federal government of Nigeria over $2 billion. Additionally, the GSMA research indicates that through the release of digital and dividend spectrum, Sub-Saharan Africa stands to increase its yearly regional GDP by over $80 billion by 2025, while in the process earning $18 billion in increment tax revenue and the creation of 27 million jobs. So, gentlemen, a failure to fully take advantage of this loan will lead to a failure to digitize, and it might also lead to job losses within the broadcasting industry. I thank you very much, sir.
I heard these projects have a huge commercial potentials. Dr. Tukumaro Minister that they are best suited for public-private partnership. Why are you not exploiting that option? The same thing with the media center modeling. We think that there are huge commercial potentials. Why do you choose to borrow the money and not allow people to invest in it? To go a long way to remove the stress from the federal post. And the Nigerians, I know very well, have the capacity to fund this particular. Why do you choose to borrow? Thank you.
Through what you have stated, I want to know, because it seems this loan purely is for, or the digitalization is for NTA. What happens to the other agencies? For instance, the Federal Radio station, the NAN, are they not good to be digitalized? Because I didn't see in any way, I don't think they are covered in this loan. Because all the documents I've seen here say maybe office that of NTA. Thank you.
From digital to, from analog to digital, sir. It's not the same thing when you talk about the radio broadcast. We're talking about sharper pictures. We're talking about satellites. We're talking about ability to improve on content. The radio stations today all come fully digitalized, and they don't have the kind of challenge that we have in the television industry. So when we talk about the DSOs, we are talking largely about the television, not about radio. Secondly, Mr. Chairman, sir, yes, it is true that you would have preferred a private public partnership in this respect, but unfortunately, sir, we don't have people who are willing to partner with government in this respect. Already, we at the NTA, we've partnered with the Chinese Star Times to be able to move our digitalization project, forward. And given the timing and the fact that we have this list time back, I think the best way to have to actually give to realize this project is by going through this this route. And as you can see from our analysis, it is one loan that will not only pay for itself, but actually create a lot of jobs and increase our visibility. And from the way we see it, is capable of improving the contribution of the creative industry from 1.49% to about 3 to 5% by 2025. So that is why we believe that the best route here is to take this foreign loan. One, it is cheaper, it has a longer term, and from our case model, it will not be difficult at all to repay. Thank you, sir.
Honourable Minister, if it's approved for you, will you be able to achieve CNN model?
Absolutely, sir. I can assure you, sir. I mean, it's about technology.
They can see it all over the world.
Yes, it's about technology, sir.
Okay.
Pure and simple, sir.
Honourable Minister of Finance, I hope we are hearing because we are going to be talking about tax and targets now. Because whatever is worth doing should be done properly. So that's why we're asking all these questions.
Mr. Chairman, sir, if this project is approved, it will encourage our talented youth. Contents will improve. The truth of the matter today, sir, is that we are the second in the entire world in the quantity of films being produced. We produce about 2,000 films a year. Only Bollywood produce more than we do. But unfortunately, we need to improve on the quality. And that is why the Culture and Media Center is going to achieve by training our teeming youth on the cutting technology in production. We have stories to tell. We have contents all over. But then we need the platforms, we need the technology, and this is what this loan is going to provide. And believe me, after agriculture, it will become the biggest employer of labor, especially the younger ones. Thanks.
That have been talked about, and I do want to appreciate members of the committee for always highlighting the issues of revenue arising from the projects, because they will improve our debt service capacity. So the letter we received from the committee was in respect of debt sustainability, the reports we had. So we had submitted them for 3 years, which I believe members of the committee would have looked at. The summary is that Nigeria has a debt to GDP ratio of 25%. We're allowed, countries like us are allowed 55% by the World Bank and IMF, but Nigeria has limited itself to 25%. Which is good, because it means we are more prudent than the World Bank and IMF allow us. If we look at the 3 years, the debt sustainability analysis reports we submitted, you would see that we remained below that ratio for many years, and the figure is that below that ratio means the maximum we got to was about 19% all through that period. So we've remained below the 25. And the latest figure we have, which is as at September 30, 2019, is 18.74%. So what we've done beyond submitting the reports is to say, if we look at this, the 22.7 billion in the medium-term external borrowing, if we add that to the borrowing that we're going to do this year, not all, because these, like the minister had said, these are loans that are still going to be negotiated, and typically they are disbursed as the projects go on. So it's not like all the loans will come at once and will hit our debt stock. So that's the first thing to note, it will be gradual. Secondly, they have moratoria, so it's not like debt service will be huge, because many of them have grace periods on principal repayments of 5 to 7 years. So we did a short analysis using the year 2020. We projected our debt stock from September 2019, which is the latest that we have published. So debt to GDP ratio, if we add the borrowings in the 2020 budget, the promissory notes that we're issuing, and we take 10%, if we assume 10% of this 22.7 that we're talking about is drawn upon, really our debt to GDP ratio would still be about 20.94, which is, in terms of debt to GDP ratio, still sustainable. So that's the additional work we have done after the submissions we made.
So in the absence of no other comments, this council will move forward. This meeting stand adjourned.